guys, happy Easter! Now, what could I possibly review for this holiday? How about Rise of the Guardians? Ah, but I hear you say, Lou, Rise of the Guardians is a Christmas movie. Plot twist, fam.
Easter is tomorrow.
Rise of the Guardians was released in November 2012, but the movie is actually set around Easter. Why not release a movie for Easter then? Well, this came out during Easter holiday, so yeah, a bad idea to release any movie during this time. Why also have this on an anime channel? You know what? Jack looks like an anime character, and Easter is a Western holiday, so Easter is only really shown in anime that takes place in the West, but showing an entire anime for one possible Easter special seems a little stupid, so I'm still gonna go with my choice of Rise of the Guardians. Roll that intro and get started.
There's the snow, look out below.
Jack Frost wakes up with no memories out from this freezing cold water with the powers of wind and snow. Naturally, he goes to the nearest village he sees, only to discover that absolutely no one can see him and people walk right through him. And he's been this way for 300 years. That's right, our protagonist has to deal with intense trauma of isolation. What fun! In the meantime, Santa Claus sees that the boogeyman is threatening the children of the world, so he calls upon the Guardians of Childhood to come and figure out what's going on. Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Sandman, and Santa are told by the Man in the Moon that they need a new guardian to defeat him. And this new guardian is Jack Frost! Jack is brought in and told that he's a guardian, where he pretty much immediately denies that he is one because he's far too relaxed and about having fun that he couldn't possibly be a guardian. Yeah, Jack Frost sure is a lazy bastard when I'm over here in California and I've only seen snow once in my life. Nice job, buddy. Now, this movie has this side story idea thing about Jack trying to find out his center, which means what part of childhood does he represent? Santa tells him that he's Wonder, which I guess makes sense. Tooth's place is then attacked, where we learn that she represents memories because inside of children's baby teeth is their memories, which definitely fixes a lot of creepy aspects of the Tooth Fairy for sure. She even explains that she had Jack's memories in his baby teeth, but Pitch also took them, so whoops! Since Pitch Black, or the boogeyman, attacked Tooth, then children stop believing in her, so they decide to be the Tooth Fairy for a little bit, but that goes horribly wrong, and the Sandman is killed as a result. To quote my friend Jake, I guess he went to sleep forever. By the way, the Sandman literally protects children's dreams, so like, yeah, duh, of course he's dreams. So now, literally every child in the world gets nightmares for no reason. Why isn't there some global thing on the news about how every child in the world is simultaneously getting traumatic nightmares? Who knows? Yeah, assume that all the adults in this are like the adults in Kids Next Door, I guess. They try to remain hopeful by helping the Easter Bunny with Easter, but that also goes horribly wrong because Jack hears a mysterious girl calling to him, and Pitch distracts him long enough to where Easter is destroyed. But hey, on the plus side, at least he got his memories! Since no one believes in the Easter Bunny anymore, now people go right through him. Which, by the way, when people stop believing in you, you turn completely invisible. So that's why no one can see Jack, because no one believes in him. But then again, this also makes up a plot hole because the expression Jack Frost nipping at your nose is used, and it doesn't really make any sense because if no one believes in Jack, then how did anyone come up with the expression of Jack Frost nipping at your nose? But then again, that's also something that you really are looking too hard into if you hear it. Lamenting that he fucked up bad, Jack goes to Antarctica, I think? And gets really sad, but Pitch finds him, who breaks his staff and leaves Jack to die, and kinda leaves, I guess. It's in his lowest moment that Jack unlocks his memories at long last. Jack was a human young man named Jack Frost, who was a trickster but overall a fun-loving boy. One day he and his sister were ice skating when the ice started to crack underneath her, so Jack moved her out of the way but fell into the ice and died. Yep, that's right, he fucking died! So the Man in the Moon decided his act of love for his precious sister was enough to make him immortal and a guardian of fun. Now, why didn't the Man in the Moon tell Jack that he's a reanimated corpse from the beginning? I don't know! The Man in the Moon is kind of an asshole, if I'm being honest. With only one kid left who believes in anything, Jack comes to this kid Jamie and gets him to believe. And I kid you not, this moment is extremely emotional for me after 7 gosh damn years. The acting here and the way the scene is constructed is just so emotional because you can feel how much it means to Jack that someone in 300 years can finally see him. With Jamie and the other kids, they all team up and defeat Pitch Black, and the Sandman comes back because the kids believed hard enough? I really don't know. I know in the books that the Sandman is very close with the Man in the Moon, and I think he was the first Guardian, so it could be that as long as kids believe, then he lives? Maybe? I don't know. Let this be happy, damn it. Jack accepts that he's a Guardian, and Pitch is shoved under a bed in the woods. The end. I mean, I won't lie, this story is not completely perfect. While I never read the Guardians of Child books entirely, I did read excerpts online after the movie came out, and rewatching it, I could tell this was definitely not a movie entirely for people who never read the books. The movie just kinda assumes you read the books, so you automatically know everyone's backstories, which is fine, but sometimes it creates these gaps that you feel like you're missing. It's almost like you're watching a sequel to the books rather than a movie just following its ideas. Yes, I know by the way that the books officially ended a while ago and confusingly melded the movie into its canon, but I am definitely not the kind of channel to explain that. Another thing I would have liked to have seen is maybe at least glimpses of everyone's backstory, especially Pitch, the Tooth Fairy, and the Easter Bunny. They all have the most heartbreaking stories compared to Jack's, so I would have really liked to have seen their backstories in the big screen, but I know that they can't really shove that in there because they were kind of pressed for time here. Overall, I think the story is still really good. You can tell that they wanted to flesh out a lot of ideas in the movie, but either didn't have time for it or were restricted by the movie's time limit, which is fine. I still think it got its points across, and I still do really love the story, and I think it hits the emotional beats really well.
There's the snow, look out below.
And y'all praised How to Train Your Dragon for excellent DreamWorks CGI animation. Have you seen this movie? Look at this. You can see the veins on Jack's hands and the stitching on his hoodie. Hard to believe that DreamWorks even did this movie because of this animation. Then again, they're also not the most consistent animated feature company when it comes to quality animation. So seeing them make shit like this is pretty damn amazing. While I find the designs to be pretty good, Tooth Fairy's being my absolute favorite because I think it's so adorably creative to have her be a hummingbird rather than a stereotypical fairy. I mean, the Tooth Fairy doesn't have a lot of art throughout the centuries to go off of, so I appreciate any design that isn't an automatic stereotypical pink fairy. Yes, I know the Tooth Fairy isn't really a fairy, but I'm not gonna go through that backstory shit, fam. And I know y'all are looking at me right now with the world's biggest Lenny face. Yes, Jack Frost is attractive, and frankly, I appreciate it, but also I didn't ask for this at the same time. I mean, am I as thirsty for him as I was back when I saw this movie? No. I mean, I still made a custom doll of him because I love his character and design so much, but hey, you ask any 15-year-old girl who saw this movie, and they'll automatically tell you that Jack Frost is their husbando, okay? Anyway, the animations and designs are really damn good for this movie. I especially love how lively Sandman and Pitch's sand is in the movie. It's not quite the dull sand that we're seeing from the Sandman, but like a really pretty glitter. And as a fan of glitter, I definitely appreciate it. Though because this animation does look so spectacular, it does have some flaws because of this quality of animation. Sometimes there's inconsistencies in things like lighting and shading, or the frost in Jack's staff, and other times you see them use the same face model for a lot of background kids. That's fine and all, but it is a lot more noticeable compared to other CGI movies that do this. I don't know, I don't think it would have been too taxing to alter the faces of the kids a little bit so they don't look so interchangeable. Another thing I don't like is Easter Bunny's design, but I'll explain that more in a second. Overall, the animation is truly stunning, and watching this in high quality is highly recommended because seeing this movie in true HD compared to shitty clips on YouTube is a whole different experience, trust me. The detail DreamWorks put into this movie visually is shocking, considering their only high-quality animated movie series they make now is How to Train Your Dragon.
There's the snow, look out below.
The entire cast is just really lovable, and I do love a lot of their designs. Also, I will be using their book names, as since I was in the Rise of the Guardians fandom for a really long time, I was used to calling them by their book names, and they do refer to themselves as their book names a few times in the movie.
North, are you okay?
Jack Frost. I have a lot of feelings for Jack. I mean, was he my first husbando? No, but as a dorky 15-year-old girl, you better believe he was my version of Justin Bieber. You see those tooth fairies? That was me watching this gosh damn movie 7 years ago. Aside from my thirst for Jack Frost, who I think we all agree we want to nip our noses every now and then, I absolutely love his character. I think what helps make Jack so lovable is Chris Pine. I know that Jack is 18, so having someone like Chris Pine voice him is a little odd, but he manages to capture the fun and emotions of Jack so well that I have a hard time picturing anyone else in this role.
You see me? He sees me. He sees me.
To Theana. I absolutely adore her. She's so adorable, and although her love of teeth is a little creepy, which is expected of the Tooth Fairy, let's be real, she's so bubbly that I can't help but think she's super sweet. I love how passionate she is too about her job, as the others feel this sense of noble duty towards their jobs, but Toothiana genuinely loves being the Tooth Fairy, and it's so damn cute. Also, I love how she flutters around like a hummingbird. It's just really fucking adorable, okay? North. Isn't this the guy John Wick kills? Nah, just kidding, though I do think it's strange to make a communist Santa. I know snow and Russia go together really well, but it's still a little weird to see. I know that the man Santa is based off of is a Turkish man named Saint Nicholas, but Santa's primary origins is Dutch or Germanic, so technically he would be Dutch or German in this case, but Santa's also had multiple different versions across the world, so... Hey Russian viewers, is Santa really a mob boss on John Wick's hit list? I mean, overall I don't mind. He's still Santa, and come on, who doesn't love Santa? Even communist Santa is still a lovable Santa in my heart. Sandy. This version of the Sandman is my favorite interpretation of, well, the Sandman. I love that he talks through sand above his head, and he's just so adorable. Look at this guy, he looks like a pillow. Also, the oldest and wisest character being the cutest one is my favorite trope. I would have definitely liked to have seen hints that he's very close to the Man in the Moon, like in the books, but maybe it could have been something they were saving for a sequel? Bunnymund. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the idea of a kick-ass Australian Easter Bunny. I mean, him traveling around tunnels is really interesting, and his home is very nicely designed, but I don't know. In the books, he resembles Mr. Harriman from Foster's, and I think it would have preferred this design here, and I think a lot of other people can agree that this is a more fitting design for the Easter Bunny than angry Hugh Jackman, but not angry Wolverine Hugh Jackman, but also not Broadway Jackman, just like if you pissed off Hugh Jackman a little bit when you told him the only thing memorable about The Greatest Showman would be the music. Pitch Black. Though in the books, his backstory is both tragic and stupid at the same time, which, by the way, I highly recommend you look up everyone's backstories because the Man in the Moon chooses suffering. He is a great villain. He has the same motives as Jack, but for darker reasons. As the Boogeyman, people can only see him when they're afraid, so he wants the world to be afraid so he can be seen again. I think what helps is that when the characters reach a low point, Pitch is a fascinating threat because he technically uses one of their own powers against them too, as he stole the construction of Sandman's dreams to make nightmares. Get it? I think what really helps make Pitch such a wonderful villain to see is Jude Law's performance. You see, because of Jude Law's British accent, he gives 110% into everything he does, so you could tell that he was having a lot of fun with this performance. Then again, I'm also a big fan of his, so it could be that I'm just speaking as a fangirl here, who knows?
Fine. Have your last hurrah for tomorrow. All your pathetic scrambling will be for nothing.
Though I will say that Pitch is another favorite design of mine for the Boogeyman. The embodiment of fear is something very difficult to design into anything, as you have to take your audience into account. Make it look like something from Silent Hill, and you have to make it an adult film because you're gonna traumatize kids with this. But make it too simple, and a child isn't really gonna feel any intimidation with it. He's a good balance to me. The way he so easily slides into the shadows and pulls off a Jared from Labyrinth thing that I think younger kids would definitely feel intimidated by him. Man in the Moon. He's kinda an asshole. Like, who the hell brings a dead kid back but not tell him jack shit for 300 years? Look what you did to this poor boy. He has anxiety. Also, the fact that he only picks guardians when they're at their lowest point or dead is kinda disturbing. Like, for a character who technically doesn't show up, he's definitely hard to like here. Overall, I really love the characters. Though some may be a little strange, I think a lot of people will come out loving at least one of them, and it's Jack Frost.
There's the snow, look out below.
I know this movie has some flaws in how it had to rush some things because they kind of have to obey by the length of movies, and probably had time limits, but damn, I still really love this movie. Prior to this review, I actually hadn't seen this movie since it hit theaters, but seeing it again just brought back this wonderful wave of nostalgia, and I think as a grown woman now, it was interesting to see everything in this movie from a new perspective. I will say that this movie desperately needed a sequel. I would have loved to have seen a prequel or a sequel because I really want to see how book characters like Mother Goose and Mother Nature would have been handled in these future movies. Though sequels were discussed a little after the movie's release, Rise of the Guardians didn't do as well as expected, so plans of a sequel were put on hold. Since then, DreamWorks has not touched the franchise or the other books, but the book's author, William Joyce, is currently fighting with DreamWorks to get the film rights back so he can give it to another studio to make a reboot or sequel to continue the Guardians of childhood in film form. I hope he does, because I really loved this story, and someday I will definitely read the book. But for now, I highly recommend this movie to anyone who's a DreamWorks fan or want an Easter movie to see, because this is one of my favorite DreamWorks movies. Well now, that was an interesting video to do. Glad I could finally talk about such a beloved childhood movie. I wonder if there's any other movies from my childhood about Easter that I could tell about next year. Never saw that movie, thank goodness. Oh, beloved childhood classic, but nah. That one was Sin, and I only saw it once. Huh? No. Oh no. No. No! Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. And if any old or new subs would like to help support the channel in any way, then feel free to visit my Ko-fi page down below in the description, along with my social media tabs. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas or maybe want to talk about anime or something, then I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!